Hi everybody and welcome in again. Yes, with the country at levels 2 and 3, COVID again the major talking point in the country, and it does have implications for harness racing. And Darrin Williams from Harness Racing New Zealand, just tell us about that. You've got the latest update on tomorrow's Cambridge meeting.
Here we have, Dave. It's been a arduous process today, just trying to tick off everything and make sure everything's in order. The hard cold facts of the matter are that the Cambridge meeting tomorrow night the Waikato meeting at Cambridge tomorrow night has been postponed until Saturday at Cambridge during the day. So around a midday start with exactly the same fields as are in place at the moment.
Just tell us the rationale around that, Darrin. What were the deciding factors?
So a number of things in play, and I appreciate that people are wanting information as quickly as they can get it, but what we want to do is try and make sure that we're acting in the best interest of as many participants as we can. So the options in front of us for tomorrow night were to simply scratch all of the horses that were Auckland based that couldn't travel across that border, that bubble that's been set up in the level 3 area of the greater super city of Auckland. Just take those horses out of the fields, decimate the fields, have some poor betting races and run the race meeting. That wasn't really the option that we were looking for. We're looking forward to trying to pay as many participants as we can and give them an opportunity to earn in any week, especially at the moment with the pressures on everything. So working with thoroughbreds and the TAV to come up with the best option that would fit that situation, but obviously the implications of what that means for the thoroughbred meeting in particular at Ruakaka and the greyhounds as well, with greyhounds moving from Manukau to Waikato for a Waikato meeting tomorrow and the Manukau meeting on Sunday. So it's not straightforward and it takes a wee bit of manoeuvring, but trying to get ourselves into the best position we can so the majority of people can have a race. And the answer to that is where we've got to move the meeting to Saturday using the same fields to give all of those participants the opportunity to race. And obviously that's subject to the alert level changing in the Auckland region or the greater Waikato region in the next 2 or 3 days.
So what happens if Auckland stays in level 3 and everyone else is in level 2 come the weekend?
So that's where the situation becomes the most difficult. If Auckland dropped to level 2 and Cambridge was at Waikato was at level 2, the horses are allowed to move for working. So for work purposes, for employment purposes, people are allowed to move. And that's how we've operated in the past. If Waikato moved up to level 3, again, the horses are able to move because both those regions are the same level. When we were going to be able to race under level 3 in the past, we actually didn't because we returned to level 2 before that. Where it's more complicated is where Auckland stays level 3 and Waikato stays level 2 when those horses can't cross the border to get there on Saturday. So if that was the case, what we're planning to do in that extreme set of circumstances is look to invoke another set of fields, and the guys are working on that, probably calling for nominations tomorrow for the horses that are Waikato based, to have a shadow set of fields that will be able to be run on Saturday if the situation didn't change. And there will be a tipping point for making that call, we imagine somewhere around midday on Friday. So we'll have another set of fields ready to go, and we'll get to a point where we're either going to run with what we've got and hope that it changes and run the risk of perhaps an abandonment, which would be the worst case scenario, or make that call to allow at least some of the participants to earn some money over this weekend.
So under that scenario, that would be a Cambridge meeting solely for Waikato-based horses, is that right?
That's right, all the horses that are already there. One of the frustrations this morning, and I feel the frustration for the participants, was a lot of people asking us, look, am I best to get in the truck and move these horses down there? We couldn't give them an answer on that because we didn't know whether the race meeting was going ahead at that stage, and I couldn't make that commitment to them saying, look, the best thing for you to do is move your horses. If things escalated up, the horses may not have been able to travel back across that border, the participant may not have been able to go back, they could have ended up in the wrong region. We just don't know that, and this is the first time the country's had a situation where there's been regions in different levels, and unfortunately it's happened to us, and Cambridge has borne the brunt of it at the moment.
And there's been a decision made, is this right, that all racing will be public excluded for the foreseeable future anyway?
Certainly as it stands at the moment. So using our constitution applications to scale up to level 2. So again, this is the first time that we've had 2 lots of order and directions around each level 2 and level 3, for both training purposes at each level and for racing workouts and trials at each level. They've been invoked today, and the participants in each region, depending on the alert level, have to comply with that situation. So it's a developing situation, and obviously you would expect that there will be more development in the next couple of days, but we're trying to position ourselves, as you know, and I again stress, to put ourselves in the best position to give the majority of the participants the chance to earn. And yeah, those levels have a lot of restrictions. They require us, both of them, to be public excluded. But level 2 allows owners to be present, and all of the meetings at the current point are under the level 2 banner. If we were racing a race meeting under level 3, the owners would be excluded, and that's not the case at this stage.
As it stands at the moment, the other South Island meetings, if you like, they're all going ahead. There's Addington, Kurau, and also Invercargill.
Yeah, they are. So dealing with Invercargill first tomorrow. So same thing, level 2. Owners are able to be there, but public excluded. That will go exactly as it is, as will Addington on Friday night. And I believe both clubs are starting to send communication out to their participants as well, so that everyone's clear on that. Kurau is a wee bit more complicated, because as it stands at the moment with the Kurau meeting at Oamaru, their annual meeting on Sunday, if the restrictions were lifted on Friday night, they'd be able to operate as they normally would with public there. We've made the early call at this stage for that meeting to operate public excluded, and that's a big call for the club to make, because they had a lot of people that were going to attend the meeting and were really fired up about the excitement of returning to racing at Oamaru. But we need to give those people some certainty around what they're doing, especially those groups that were travelling there. So the club have made that call this morning. They'll operate public excluded. The owners can attend the meeting. And if things changed on Friday night and the alert levels were dropped in Canterbury, obviously we'll very quickly allow the public to be there. But we need to give some certainty to those people that especially were making the effort to have functions on course and the like. And you know, we've seen that with every region that has had a race meeting return. Even Farlap Raceway, Timaru Gallops had a very good crowd there, because they hadn't been racing in the Timaru region for a while. And the same thing I think would have happened at Oamaru on Sunday.
I've had 2 questions from the public as well, Darrin, if you've got the time to answer these. The first one is, are we speaking to the government about continuing to race even if the alert level goes to a higher level?
So the answer to that is yes, we are. Obviously, the government has a lot of things on its plate at the moment that it's trying to deal with on behalf of New Zealanders, and racing's just one of them. So us getting an answer on that today is unrealistic, is the best way to describe that. What we have to be careful with is that we have been able to race under these alert levels. Sure, we were in lockdown 4, but we actually got permission from government and WorkSafe officials to race under level 3, even though we didn't actually do it because we returned to level 2 before them, but we did have permission to do that. It's a complicated process. The participants have worked well with us to comply with what needs to be complied with, and I think that we should reflect on the fact that that's the reason Racing Victoria has been able to race. The participants have done exactly what they should do and listen to the information that's before them. And that's what we encourage everyone to do, not get complacent and do exactly what they need to do so that we can. The answer is, are we talking to the officials? Yes, we are, but it's complicated because there's so many other elements in play.
And the last question, Darrin, why did Thoroughbreds make announcements earlier than Harness Racing New Zealand?
So Thoroughbreds had a race meeting today that they had to deal with, so they had to deal with that last night. I can assure people that we were definitely dealing with things last night, in particular our workouts at North Canterbury today. So the most urgent thing was the thing right in front of us for the participants that were going to be turning up at a venue today, and that was dealt with directly with those people that needed to be dealt with late last night. As far as manoeuvring the rest of it, as I say, NZTR were able to make announcements on their race meeting today we were certainly talking to them and to the officials and making all those noises in the background to get ourselves into a position. We appreciate that people want information. What I do not want to do is give people the incorrect information. We want to move carefully, logically, and methodically through what we need to do so that people are clear on what we're doing. We do not want to thrash around and have a situation where we trip ourselves up. That would be the worst thing we can do. There is only one aim, Dave, and that's for us to keep racing, to allow the participants to earn money, and to keep ourselves in a situation where racing can continue long term. What that means for next week's racing, we'll assess that as we go, because obviously we've got an Alexandra Park meeting next week, and if we have the same situation with two different levels of alert, we'll have a situation where the Waikato horses won't be able to get to Alexandra Park, but hopefully that's not the case. What we're trying to do is just clean up these 4 race meetings this week so that we can get on. And, you know, as I said to you, I think earlier in the week, last week's turnover was the second highest since we've returned to racing. So turnover is really on the up for harness at the moment, and we're pleased with it.
All right, Darrin, thanks very much for the update. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of information coming in over the next few days, so look forward to talking to you then. But thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dave.